Genghis Khan was a great Mongol warrior of the 12th century. He was the great leader of the Mongol Empire, which went on to become one of the largest empires in the world after he died. He was able to create the empire by defeating small nomadic tribes of Northeast Asia. Genghis Khan's birth name was Temujin, and he was born on 1162 in Delun Baldog near modern-day Mongolia into the family of a tribal leader. Little is known of his earliest years. Legends hold that he came in the world clutching a broadcloth in his right hand, a traditional sign that the boy was destined to become a great leader. His mother had been kidnapped by his father and forced into marriage. At that time, dozens of nomadic tribes on the Central Asia steppe were constantly fighting and stealing from each other, and life for Temujin was violent and unpredictable. The strong will take what they want, and the weak will plot their revenge. Temujin had three brothers, Hasar, Hachun, and Temugi, and one sister, Temulin, and two half-brothers, Bektir and Belguti. His father, Yesugai, was the Khan, like a chief of their tribe. Even though life was difficult, Temujin enjoyed his childhood years. He rode horses from a young age and enjoyed hunting with his brothers. His father was a respected warrior who had fought many battles. Like all Mongol children, Temujin learned to ride horse and hunt in early years. Temujin made friends among his clans. His best friend is a boy named Jamuk. They become like brothers. The two become blood brothers, exchanging arrows as a sign of closeness, neither knowing they are destined to be a bitter enemy in the near future. When Temujin was only 9 years old, he was sent to live with the tribe of his future wife, Borte, as a Mongol tradition. But soon, Temujin discovered that his father had been poisoned by some enemy Tartars clan. Temujin returned to his home tribe to become the Khan. Temujin's own clan then deserted him, his mother, and his 6 siblings in order to avoid having to feed them. At the age of 10 in 1172, in an argument during a hunting expedition, Temujin kills his half-brother Bektir, who liked to take whatever young Temujin killed or caught. Temujin and his family are constantly hunting by his father's old enemies. At the age of 15 in 1177, Temujin was captured and enslaved by Tyrakyot, his father's former allies, but Temujin escapes with the help of a guard, Jelmi and Boruku, who will become 2 of his generals in the near future. Despite all this hardship, by his early 20s, he had established himself as a formidable warrior and leader. At the age of 25 in 1187, leaving his yacht behind him, Temujin emerged as an imposing man, a man in command of a small army of Mongol warriors. After years of searching, he found his lost child wife Borte and makes his wife. He knows he needs much more to survive. Temujin needs ally, and he seeks a favor of Togrul Khan, leader of Kiratis, a man who had once been a close friend and blood brothers of his father. Temujin gives his wedding gift to Togrul Khan. Togrul Khan gives Temujin his blessing and his permission to reunite with his clan and even to raise his own army. Eager young men are drawn to Temujin's camp and trained as a warrior. Temujin promises them rank and rich rewards. Here, his army learns an unusual skills. Here, they learn to fire their arrow at their enemies while riding a horse. They even make a special weapon called reflex bow, which can achieve a greater velocity than the traditional European longbow. The Mongols were devastating in their attacks. Because they could maneuver a galloping horse using only their legs, their hands were free to shoot arrows. This skill would soon make them the greatest army on earth. While Temujin was on a hunt with his family, One morning, his mother's servant walked the camp and told them that enemy tribal are coming for them. Temujin was without his army, so Temujin was forced to flee for his life. But there are not enough horses for everyone. Faced with a difficult choice, Temujin orders his mother to take the horse, leaving his wife Borte alone. His wife Borte is then kidnapped by Merked tribe as a revenge against Temujin's father, who stole Merked wife. It will take Temujin 9 months to rescue his wife, and in revenge, he launches a brutal assault on Merked tribe. Temujin gathers several hundred supporters and rescues Borte from Merked tribe, where she was someone else's wife. Temujin rescues her and she gives birth to his first son Jochi 9 months later. This led to questions about the paternity and later challenge from Khan's other sons. Though Borte's captivity with the other tribe cast doubt on Jochi's birth, Temujin accepts him as his own son. Temujin slowly becomes a war hero. More and more men join him. Fighting with Temujin gives them great rewards. He allowed captured soldiers to join his army, growing his forces with each victory. Temujin decides it is now time to take a revenge of his father's death and attack powerful Tartars. Generations of anger are released. The Mongols destroyed Tartars and the surviving men of Tartars were beheaded. Only children for slave and potential concubines were spared. Jamuk, his blood brother from his childhood, had also become a successful general. Their once friendship had turned into bitter and jealousy. His blood brother Jamuk now assembled warriors to fight against Temujin. Temujin's former lord Togrul Khan and Jamuk armies joined to fight against Temujin. The winner will be the most powerful in the Mongol. After 3 days of battle, Temujin comes out as a winner. His former lord Togrul Khan is dead and Jamuk, his blood brother, is on a run and trying to hide from Temujin. In order to save Un's life, the followers of Jamuk captures Jamuk and submit to Temujin. Instead of giving gratitude for delivering his enemy, Temujin orders to kill the betrayer. Temujin then asks his blood brother Jamuk to be on his side. But Jamuk refuses the offer and asks for honorable death. As the West, Jamuk was killed by breaking his backbone. Following the victories over the rival Mongol tribes, other tribal leaders agreed to peace and bestowed on Temujin the title of Genghis Khan, which means universal ruler. The title carried not only political importance but also spiritual significance. In 1206, at the age of 44, Temujin is named Genghis Khan, the ruler of the Mongol people. He is proclaimed supreme commander and Khan of all Mongols in the Grand Assembly. He is given the title nobody has been awarded before. Genghis Khan, translated as supreme ruler or universal ruler. Before the appearance of Genghis Khan, they had no chief or ruler. Each tribe or two tribes lived separately. They would not united with one another, and there was a constant fighting and hostility between them. Genghis Khan rewarded those who fight with him as the leader of thousands army. He built an army that becomes one of the strongest in the world. Without regard of family background and status, Genghis Khan make generals out of loyal shepherds and carpenters. The great Khan had a keen eye for talent, and he usually promoted his officers on skills and experience rather than class, ancestry, or even past allegiance. Many times, he treated the people of other courtiers better than their previous own rulers had done. Many of his generals were former enemies. Genghis Khan instructed his eldest son, Jochi, from his principal wife Borte, to put his laws into writing. Having reorganized his troops and administration, Genghis Khan felt ready to attack his neighbor. Before he united Mongolia, the plains were occupied by nomadic tribes including the Tartars, Kirites, Mongols, Merkits, and Naimans. Genghis Khan belonged to one of the Mongol tribes. The Chinese Jin dynasty used to periodically switch their support between the tribes to ensure that none attained superiority. This made the Jin dynasty one of Genghis Khan's first target. In 1209, in his first war outside of Mongolia, Genghis Khan leads his army against the kingdom of Sisya in China. Genghis' army, far more organized than that of Sisya, wins easily. Genghis Khan leads his army into northern China in 1214. When the Jin emperor asks Genghis Khan to withdraw, promising him a princess, slaves, gold and silver, Genghis Khan agrees but gets angry and fears a counterattack when the Jin court retreats. He returns to Jogdu in 1215 and starves the city into surrender. Beijing fell to him in 1215. Genghis Khan wanted to establish trade with the Muslim land to the west. He sent a trade delegation there to meet with their leaders. However, the governor of one of their cities had the men of the delegation killed. Genghis Khan was furious. He took up the command of 200,000 warriors and spent the next several years destroying the cities to the west. The Persian Khwarezmite Empire offended Genghis Khan by beheading his messenger and looting his trade caravan. The insult led to a huge Mongol invasion by 200,000 men. The Persians were crushed by the Mongols' superior tactic in 1222. The civilian population were decimated with as many as 90% killed, although skilled workers were sent back to Mongolia. Genghis Khan's army split for the journey home. Generals Subotai and Jeve went north to conquer large land of Russia and Ukraine, while Genghis Khan plowed through Afghanistan and northern India in the south. During this time, the Xia and Jin had allied to resist Mongolian rule. In his final military victory, Genghis Khan returned and defeated them both in 1226. To prevent further betrayal, he had the Chinese Jia royal family executed. August 18, 1227, already in failing health, Genghis Khan dies in a camp during a campaign against Sisya, a kingdom of China, at the age of 65. He may have died due to the injuries he received after he fell off a horse the previous year. According to legend, a Chinese princess castrated him with his concealed dagger, leading to his death. This was said to be an act of revenge for the death of her family and a way to prevent him from raping her. A more likely theory about his death is that he was thrown from his horse and died from his injuries. Another theory claims he died from pneumonia, and another suggests he was killed in his final battle with the Chinese. According to legend, his funeral procession slaughtered everyone they came in contact with during their journey and then repeatedly rode horses over his grave to help conceal it. The tomb is most likely on or around a Mongolian mountain called Burkhan Khaldun, but to this day, its precise location is unknown. Genghis Khan believed the strength of a man was defined by the children he left behind. He had thousands of women with his harem and fathered children with many of them. Around 8% of men from Asia are still his descendants. The horsemanship of the Mongol cavalry is unrivaled in the history of war. Mongol archers conquered the world from their horses, wielding bows with a drawing strength of 166 pounds, accurate over 600 or 700 feet. Genghis Khan never fought a battle that he was not sure of winning and used his troops with cunning as well as power, sending one section to attack from the front while he and his picked force galloped along seemingly impassable roads and poured down on the enemy from behind. Genghis Khan was a master tactician, often employing clever tricks to defeat his enemy. Some examples include false retreats to bait enemies into ambushes, and they would also tie dummies atop horse to make it look like a soldier was riding into battle. As well as modern-day Mongolia, Khan's empires include most of China, Korea, Pakistan, Iran, Iraq, Turkey, Afghanistan, Moldova, Kazakhstan, Armenia, Georgia, Turkmenistan, Kuwait, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and some parts of Russia. On those days, the Mongol Empire went on to become the largest contiguous empire in history, stretching from the Pacific Ocean to Eastern Europe. At their peak, the Mongol controlled between 11 and 12 million contiguous square miles, an area about the size of Africa. His military campaign sometimes involved killing an entire civilian population. As many as 40 million people were killed under his rule. Many people were slaughtered in the course of Genghis Khan's invasion, but he also granted religious freedom to his subjects, abolished torture, encouraged trade, and created the first international postal system. Mongol leader Genghis Khan never allowed anyone to paint his portrait, sculpt his image, or engrave his likeness on a coin. The first image of him appeared after his death. Genghis Khan had over 500 wives. They bore him many children. Borte, his childhood love, however, remained Genghis' life companion, and only her son were considered his legitimate successor. Genghis Khan had 4 sons in total: Jochi, Chagatai, Ogedei, and Toli. He assigned his son Ogedei Khan as his successor because Ogedei had no quarrel with Genghis' other sons. Before his death, Genghis Khan bestowed supreme leadership to his son Ogedei, who controlled most of Eastern Asia, including China. The rest of the empire was divided among his other sons. Chagatai took over Central Asia and northern Iran. Tolui, being the youngest, received a small territory near the Mongol homeland, and Jochi, who was killed before Genghis Khan's death. Jochi and his son Batu took control of modern Russia. From his son Ogedei down to his grandson, great Kublai Khan, each expanded the territory of Mongolian Empire by further conquest. Mughal Empire, Shah Jahan of India, responsible for building the Taj Mahal, was actually a descendant of Genghis Khan. Thank you.